Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, students. Here with me again, Mr. Dimas, and we will discuss about our new material, that is group presentations. The purpose of the group presentations is to seek out and report information concerning a text that will be valuable to our class discussions. The presentations will provide an introduction to the work and help others in the class identify what is interesting, controversial, artistic about the text. For the purpose of these presentations, it will not be necessary to read the book in its entirety. If you wish to read ahead, you may. Yet please be aware that you are the only required to present on the basis of the characters and events that appear in the reading that has been assigned to the class so far. Got it, students? If you don't understand, please raise your hand and ask me. Presentations, we have two sections. The first section is before the presentations, and the second is during the presentations. Now is the before the presentations. When to begin? Planning the logistics around giving a presentation should take a place as the group project progresses, and most critically, coalescence immediately after results of your study are known and clear recommendations can be made. Keep in mind that completing the basic task of giving presentation, example, designating a moderator, designing the slide template, working on the introduction, and etc. That can save your time and allow your group to focus just before giving the presentations on how to effectively highlight the most important aspects of the research study. Do you understand, students? Raise your hand if you don't understand. Now moving to the next. Sharing the responsibility. Everyone in the group should have an equal role in preparing the presentations and covering a similar amount of information during the presentations. However, a moderator should be elected to lead the presentations. The group should be determined what each member will speak about. This can be based on either the members' interests or what they work on during the group project. This means that each member should be responsible for developing an outline of what they will talk about and drafting the content of their section of the slides or other forms of visual aids. Got it, students? Okay. I have a note. If, for whatever reason, a group member is particularly anxious about speaking in front of an audience, or perhaps they have uncomfortable because English is not their first language, consider them a role that can be easily articulated, such as introducing the purpose of the study and its importance. Everyone must participate in the speaking, but be cognizant of the need to support that person by discussing what will work best for them while still being an active contributor to the presentations. Next is organizing the content. The content of the presentation should parallel the organization of the research study. In general, it should include a brief introduction, a description of the study, along with its purpose and significance, a review of prior research and its relevance to your group project, an analysis of the results with an emphasis on significant finding or recommended course of action, and brief statement about any limitations and how the group managed them. And then, developing the content. The narrative around each section must flow together smoothly to ensure that the audience remains engaged. An initial meeting to discuss each section of the presentation should include the following: deciding on the sequence of the speakers, which group member parents on which sections, determining who will oversee of the use of any technology, determining how much time should be allocated for each section in relation to the overall time limits, discussing the use and content or slide of other visual aids, developing a general outline of the presentation. Next, creating transitions. Building the narrative of an oral presentation means more than imparting information. It also requires the group to work together, developing moments or transitions from one section to the next section. Transitional section ensures coordination among members about what is to be covered and helps your audience follow along and remain engaged. The transition from one section to the next section should include both review cues, for example, recap what you just discussed, and an introduction of the next speaker, and non-verbal gestures, for example, stepping away from the podium or in front of the class to make room for the next speaker. An example of this transition could be something like this. So to summarize, and thank you Jordan or Kevin, like that. Now is the practicing the presentations. The most critical thing to do before giving a group presentation is to practice as a group. Rehearse what will be said and how it will be said. If you know that the overall structure works, the time is allocated correctly, that any change can be made if needed. The second section is during the presentation. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, students. No? No questions? Okay. Next is during the presentations. Before the presentation begin, if group are presenting from a shared computer, ask your teacher if you could preload your slides or other visual aids before the class begins. And then introductions. Begin by having the moderator introduce the group by giving each member's name and a brief description of what they will be presenting on. When not speaking, assuming that your group has practiced at least twice and preferably more, You have heard and seen the entire presentation multiple times. Keep in mind, however, that your audience has not and they can observe everyone in the group. Okay. Next, coordinate moving from one speaker to the next. The person presenting could take a position in the foreground or where you are delivering the information. Group members not speaking should step back and take a spot. Behind on off to the side of the speaker. When the person speaking is done, the next person steps forward. This pre-planned choreography may seem trivial, but it emphasizes to your audience who the next speaker will be demonstrating a smooth, coordinated delivery throughout the presentation. Oh, by the way, this may the last sections, guys. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. No? Okay. I will go to the conclusions. And don't forget, like usually, I will give you a group work after this. The conclusions. The presentation should conclude with the moderator stepping forward and thanking the audience and asking if there are any questions. If a question relates to a specific part of the presentations, the group member who spoke during the part should answer the questions. It should not be the moderator's responsibility to answer for everyone. If another group follows your presentations from a shared computer, be courteous and close out all of your slide or other visual aids before stepping away. Okay. Just raise your hand if you don't understand. If you understand, now, unless otherwise specific, presentation will be given on the first scheduled class or date you have chosen. They are expected to last at least 30 minutes, but with discussions will usually take up our entire class period. Although the workload should be divided equally between all members, the speaking responsibility may be shared in whatever manner you see fit. Each member of the group will be given the same grade on the presentation and it will be amount to your final grade. I will share your material and discuss with your group and choose your own group. And this is our last minute here. And thank you, students. I will say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you next time.